Hi, my name is Qi from University of Leeds and majored in enterprise and entrepreneurship. Now I'm thrilled to present to you my baby. Oh, my assignment. Well, the theme of my assignment is a critical analysis and comparison of the effect of politics and policy intervention, industry and employment on enterprise and entrepreneurship in UK, China, and Korea. Okay, let's first define the scope of our discussion. In past few decades, SMEs and entrepreneurship are regarded as a key engine of economic development. So in this presentation, we would mainly talk about the effect of politics and policy intervention on enterprise and entrepreneurship in 3 countries, and also include some content about the industry and employment. In 1934, Sumter referred enterprise to the carrying out of new combinations, and pointed out entrepreneurs are that those individuals whose function is to carry them out. Then it must comes to entrepreneurship. There are multiple definitions of it, and as we are discussing the global perspective, this video will refer to Global Entrepreneurship Monitor's definition for entrepreneurship. But as mentioned before, entrepreneurship is a multifaceted phenomenon with many different meanings in a different context. Well, let's first talk about the policy's effect. Policy can help the economy and society to expand the benefits from open markets and technological progress, and also it can correct failures in financial markets. Also, to some extent, policy intervention can help SMEs to survive credit constraints, and government intervention can also prevent entrepreneurs from high costs and some risks, then ensure both the quantity and the quality of entrepreneurship. Actually, SME policy's point is quite different from the entrepreneurship policy, but they both aim to improve the performance of economic actors and both determine to increase the number of economic actors. Now, the industry's effect. According to Kostner, the fundamental determinant of market opportunity is change within industry, and it's because entrepreneurs' industry environments are characterized by varying levels of dynamism, munificence, and industry and geographical concentration, and they are all key factors can influence the entrepreneur's potential to exploit opportunities effectively in the informal economy. In 1943, Oxenfeld argued that unemployed individuals or individuals with low prospects for wage-able employment may become self-employed to earn a living, and small and micro business driven by them would increase. And one of the reasons is unemployment reduced opportunity costs for self-employment, and then individuals are driven to start their own business. But this entrepreneurship exists as the post result because it seems that those individuals have no better choices for work. Their motivation is not driven by the opportunity and market gap. This may lead to their business short life. Okay, now let's talk about the effect of the 3 factors in 3 countries. According to the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, SMEs account for 99.9% of the business population, approximately 5.9 million businesses. And in Global Entrepreneurship Monitor 2018 UK report, the total early-stage entrepreneurial activity, or DEA, in the UK in 2018 was 7.9%. And 1 in 5 individuals of working age in the UK were engaged in some type of entrepreneurial activity or intended to start a business within the next 3 years. And this is similar to 2017 and again higher than the historical trend. In 1970s, the idea of enterprise policy first introduced in UK, and the social view towards SMEs changed. And if the 1970s saw the birth of small business in the UK, then the 1980s witnessed the SMEs take off. And after Mrs. Thatcher came to power, she pushed through the reform of denationalization, and which promoted the development of the SMEs. And starting from the 1990s, both Conservation and the Labour government paid more attention to raising the profile, detail, and ambition for the extent of government intervention on SMEs. And from 1970s, UK government has issued a bunch of policies including the following field to support small firms and entrepreneurs. The UK government continued to focus on the development of SMEs, and in 2014, SBEE Act issued, and the Act aimed to open up new opportunities for small business to increase their competence, overcome finance bottlenecks to create jobs, grow, innovate, and export. And the UK government also realized difficulty for SMEs to get money, so it also takes some other steps to improve the financial system. And within 2018, it's a record year for the UK's SME equity financing market, and with investment surging to £6.7 billion. And also, there is Small Business Charter, and it has been awarded funding to support over 700 micro and small business to engage with technology to boost their productivity. And through this, SMEs can access business school programs to help them develop world-class management practice, tailored growth strategies, and business plans. And according to GEM 2018 UK report, the recent rise in the gig economy in UK, which typically includes internet platform-based service jobs such as Uber and Deliveroo, has provided opportunities for people to take on part-time or short-term work to supplement their income. People may be employed elsewhere while working in the gig economy. Similarly, they may be nascent entrepreneurs using these jobs to provide an income while they start up their own business. And SMEs can also benefit from this, as freelancers in gig industry can reduce the cost of hiring a full-time employees. UK total employment in SMEs was 16.6 million, approximately 60% of the total, while turnover was estimated at 2.2 trillion. Employment may increase SMEs and entrepreneurship to some extent, as UK government prefers self-employment and other support to reduce the number of employed. By the end of 2018, the number of SMEs in China has exceeded 30 million. The number of individual industrial and commercial households has exceeded 70 million households, contributing more than 50% of the country's tax revenue, more than 60% of GDP, and more than 70% of technological innovation, and more than 80% of the labor force employment. According to the conditions in China, the Chinese SMEs and entrepreneurship ecosystems are created by the government's efforts. And since modern China was founded in 1949, the SME policies in China have experienced a lot of changes, while government attitudes towards SMEs transferred from rediscovery from engine growth. Currently, China is facing some problems in terms of SMEs. The first is financial barriers. Although Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Hong Kong Stock Exchange are more mature than before for newly listed firms, the capital market is not very friendly to small and medium-sized enterprises. Second, Chinese institution infrastructures are weak, such as poor protection of property right, which is harmful SMEs' interests. Well, now the government realized this problem and issued relevant policy to protect SMEs' right. For entrepreneurship, China shows more total entrepreneurial activity in low levels of internationalization regions than the highly developed international locations. And as government and people know more about the important role of entrepreneurship, China's Council of State issued the first entrepreneurship document in 2007 in order to help entrepreneurs run business better and feel safer to invest. According to the official, from the distribution of enterprise industry, SMEs in China mainly focus on wholesale and retail, manufacturing and service industries. And with a series of government policy reforms and adjustments, the future of SMEs in agriculture and forestry, information technology, and sports and entertainment will grow rapidly. Chinese SMEs are the main channels for absorbing employment, contributing more than 80% of job opportunities. SMEs are important force in expanding employment and improving people's livelihood. Promoting the development of small and medium-sized enterprises is of great significance for maintaining the stability of the employment situation. Since the Central Committee proposed 6 stabilities last year, steady employment has been placed first. SMEs play an important role in Korean economy. According to business statistics, SMEs take up 99% of the number of enterprises in Korea, and 88% of total employment, 38% of export. Also, Korea is one of the top 3 innovation economies in Southeast Asia, East Asia, and Oceania. South Korea is distinctive for high level of state leadership and control of banking, credit, investment, access to foreign currency, and for Korean chaebols such as Samsung, LG, and SK Group. Korea Federation of Small Business was established in 1962, and SME Basic Act issued in 1966. In 1981, the Procurement Act led shift towards to SMEs and regarding them as a policy objective. And in past decades, the role of SMEs in larger firms, especially chaebols, has been controversial. Korean Fair Trade Commission started to limit chaebol predation on small firms and other antitrust issues from 1988. To help SMEs, the government found competition restricting regulations in major industries such as alcoholic beverages and oil refinery. Also, the government encouraged business to form cartels and cooperatives. And since 2009, the KFTC has made 4 major improvements, jointly with the Presidential Council on National Competitiveness, to 82 regulations in total in sectors in which monopoly has long persisted, or in sectors closely related to citizens' livelihood, and in sectors where it was necessary to alleviate the burden on SMEs and people to contribute to the revitalization of economies by promoting entry of new businesses into the market. Like its neighbor, China, finance problem is also a barrier to entrepreneur and the expansion of SMEs in Korea. And several measures were taken to develop equity financing, and the budget for subsidized loans and state investment in young innovative firms has also expanded significantly. And to relieve the finance burden, the PPS, Central Procurement Agency in Korea, also take a lot of measures to support SMEs. One of its measures to support SMEs is to release certain stockpiled raw materials to them at a discounted price. For entrepreneurship, Korean government also pay attention to the negative traditional cultural perceptions and its impact on entrepreneurial skills and opportunities. The government introduced the Act on the Support of Female-Owned Business in 2009 and set up the Young Entrepreneurs Startup Academy in 2011. In 2015, 300 billion Korean won, approximately 0.02% of GDP, was invested to establish Youth Development Fund to support innovative youth activities in Korea. For industry, the traditional products of South Korean SMEs such as footwear manufacturing and electronic assembly in the clothing and sewing sector have the potential for growth. Also, when considering development potential of the fields of IT and science, SMEs in Korea may have easy access to the North's markets. Talking about the employment, although the SME's employment increased, but the large firms retook the major position of output, which has remained true after the 2008 financial crisis. Also, in Korea, there is a gap between the aspiration of entrepreneurs and the social expectation of job creation. Okay, so this presentation talks about 3 factors that might influence enterprise and entrepreneurship, especially policies of it. And through comparison, it's not too hard to find that although countries have their own problems and emphasizes on specific industries, they all have SMEs finance issues, so it may need further consideration for government to find out a way to deal with it according to the context of each country's. For example, the Korea government can take advantage of the impact of trade to support SMEs development. Also, in order to activate entrepreneurship better, countries can communicate with each other about the policy and their strategy. But as entrepreneurship is an abstract concept and may be difficult to see or calculate the outcomes of entrepreneurship policy, and national conditions and the regional difference should be taken into consideration. So it's the end of my presentation. Thanks for watching.